Most people never think twice about how the products that they are consuming are being produced. Animal products are the most environmentally destructive products to ever be produced. It takes an enormous amount of resources to produce animal products. These animals require a lot of land, either, the animals that are being grazed, or just the land that's needed to grow the crops needed to feed all of these animals. In fact, researchers at Oxford, after doing an extensive study of over 40,000 farms, concluded that animal agriculture is so environmentally destructive, going vegan is the best way to save the planet, and that if the world went vegan, land totaling the size of Africa could be freed up, because that is how much land is needed to graze and grow food for all of these ceaseless tens of billions of animals being raised for their flesh and secretions. And animal agriculture is the most brutal industry that has ever existed by far. Each day, billions of animals suffer. Most of these animals, like the pigs that are being raised for their flesh, the chickens that are being raised for their flesh and eggs, the turkeys that are being raised for their flesh, are kept in overcrowded, shit-filled dungeons. Most of these animals never see the light of day until the day of their death, when they're loaded on a transport truck to be shipped to the slaughterhouse. That is the only day that most of these animals ever even get to see the sunlight, to breathe fresh air. And these animals are all slaughtered, all of them. Even the dairy cows are slaughtered when they can no longer produce enough milk to be profitable, which happens at a fraction of their natural lifespan. Dairy cows are forced to produce about 10 times more milk than is natural. So that puts an enormous amount of stress on their bodies. So by the time they're just about 5 years of age, their bodies cannot keep up with that kind of milk production. They become spent. Some of these animals can't even stand up anymore. So they are sent to slaughter. And typically what happens after they're slaughtered, their remains are ground up and they are turned into ground beef. And the egg-laying hens, they are sent to slaughter too, when they can no longer produce enough eggs to be profitable, which happens at about 1.5 years of age, when those birds can actually live over 7 years. In the egg industry, those egg-laying hens are forced to produce about 10 times more eggs than is natural. So that puts an enormous amount of stress on their bodies, causing all kinds of health issues. And by the time they're 1.5 years of age, they can no longer keep up with that kind of egg production. So they are no longer profitable to the egg farmer. So they are shipped to slaughter and turned into pet food or chicken soup. And at the hatcheries, where all egg-laying hens come from, even the organic free-range egg-laying hens, they cannot determine the sex of the chicks until they hatch. So upon hatching, they sort them by sex, and all of the males are put on a conveyor belt and dumped into a macerator, which grinds them up alive. This is a male chick that just hatched. He's being dumped into a macerator. These are blades that literally are going to grind him up alive. If you would not support an industry that grinds up puppies alive, if you would not support an industry that grinds up kittens alive, why on earth are you supporting the egg industry? And just so you know, one egg has over twice as much cholesterol as a Big Mac, so eggs aren't even a health food. And dairy cows, unlike what most people believe, dairy cows do not produce milk because they're dairy cows. Dairy cows actually produce milk because they're mothers. They have to be impregnated. In the dairy industry, they are forcibly impregnated to get them to start lactating. And roughly once every year, they are forcibly re-impregnated to keep them lactating. And they're forced to produce about 10 times more milk than is natural. So by the time they're like 5 years of age, when they can actually live over 20 years, their bodies cannot not keep up with that kind of milk production. And then they become useless to the dairy farmer, so they are sent to slaughter. And all of the male calves that are born to those dairy cows are stolen from their mothers, most within just a few hours of being born. On some of those dairy farms, they will actually kill the male calves right away because they have no use for them. But typically what happens to the male calves is they're sent off to the veal industry, raised for a few weeks, and then slaughtered for their flesh so that people can consume their baby food in the form of artery-clogging carcinogenic crap. Yeah, milk, in case you don't know, dairy products are carcinogenic, loaded with artery-clogging fats and cholesterol, leading to all kinds of health conditions, even breast cancer linked to dairy, even multiple sclerosis linked to dairy products. And most people can't even digest dairy products properly without having issues. And it's not because you're lactose intolerant, it's because you're not a baby cow. That cow's milk is not designed for your body. That cow's milk is designed to turn a little like 70-pound bovine baby animal into like a 2,000-pound animal. So you shouldn't be consuming any animal products. None of it is good for you. None of it is obviously good for the animals who have to suffer and die for it. Even the wild animals. Yeah, millions of wild animals slaughtered every year over livestock. So yeah, it's not just the cows and the pigs and the chickens and the fish who are intentionally killed for your food preferences. It's also wild animals being killed, like wild American horses. The government, with our own tax dollars, every year, they round up thousands upon thousands of wild American horses on behalf of cattle ranchers. They take these horses off of public lands and they put them in government holding facilities so that cattle can graze those lands instead, so that cattle ranchers can maximize their profits. These horses end up being auctioned off. And typically who is buying these horses at auction are kill buyers. They buy them cheap, ship them into Mexico, ship them into Canada, where it is legal to slaughter them for horse meat. That is what they're doing with our wild American horses, so people can eat beef and so that cattle ranchers can maximize their profits. This atrocity needs to end. And the only way to make it end is to just stop your participation in it. Stop consuming animal products and go vegan. And also, wolves and cougars, bears, bobcats, coyotes, lynxes, foxes are intentionally killed by the millions each year because those animals are a threat to livestock. Animal agriculture is, in fact, causing the 6th mass extinction. It is the main cause. Animal agriculture is absolutely the main cause of the 6th mass extinction. Every single second of every single day, an acre of land is cleared, and it is mainly to graze and grow food for livestock. The ceaseless tens of billions of animals that are brought into this world just to be slaughtered to keep up with the demand for animal flesh and animal secretions. These animals have to be fed. Like a pig is raised for 6 months before they're slaughtered. So for 6 months, day after day after day, these animals have to be fed. Takes up to like 8 pounds of grains to get just 1 pound of pork in return. These animals drink a lot of water. They produce a lot of waste. Cows are raised for about 12 to 22 months before they are slaughtered. They can consume up to as much as 16 pounds of grains just to get 1 pound of beef in return. And they can drink up to like 30 gallons of water per day. So these animals are literally using up a lot of resources, and the main cause of deforestation. So think about how many animals are being killed. How many plant species are being killed as an acre of land is cleared every second, and it is mainly to graze and grow food for livestock. Animal agriculture is causing the 6th mass extinction. Animal agriculture is the main cause of pandemics. Like, even if you think this pandemic, the COVID virus wasn't started by someone eating an animal, which it was, if the world had been vegan, there would be no COVID pandemic going on right now. But even if you think this COVID virus was started in a lab, what about swine flu that comes from the pork industry? What about bird flu, which comes from the poultry industry, which is how they think, the Spanish flu started on a poultry farm in Kansas? Yeah, you can make up all the lies you want to, but yeah, eating animals definitely is the main cause of pandemics. Bird flu, swine flu, mad cow disease, Ebola, AIDS. Yeah, people say, oh, somebody fucked a monkey. No, I think more along the lines, somebody ate a monkey. And that's what caused AIDS. Yeah. Look into it. Yeah. Ebola was human-made. Yeah. Made by humans eating animals. Yeah, it is factual. You can deny the truth all you want, just so you can remain comfortable in your position as an animal eater, paying people to brutalize and massacre animals all day long for all of the non-vegan products that you consume, which is probably every single product you buy is probably non-vegan. These animals are literally stabbed in their throats. Yeah, they have to be stabbed in their throat to sever their jugular vein, to bleed them out before they butcher them. So they either are stabbed in their throat to sever their jugular vein, or they have their throat slashed to sever their jugular vein, to bleed them out before they are butchered. They're even doing that with dairy cows and the male calves born to those dairy cows. When those dairy cows can no longer produce enough milk to be profitable, they are sent to slaughter. They get a knife in their throat or across their throat to slash their jugular vein to bleed them out before they are slaughtered and turned into ground beef at around 5 years of age, when they can live over 20 years because, they're forced to produce like 10 times more milk than is natural. Their bodies cannot keep up with that kind of milk production for 20 freaking years. 10 times more milk than is natural. That depletes their body of all kinds of nutrients. Even the Iowa dairy farmer. I keep on saying this and I keep on forgetting because my mind's like all over the place with all of the awful things happening to these animals. There's just, I can go on for forever of all the horrific things happening to these animals and all of the consequences, like climate change, because of this industry. But the Iowa dairy farmer, I saved that video where he's literally giving his dairy cows calcium supplements. Surprise, surprise, surprise. People are always like, oh, but vegan, it's not natural to be vegan because, you have to take all these supplements. Meantime, the animals that you eat and whose secretions you consume, they are given supplements. Even dairy cows are given calcium supplements. Most of the B12 supplements produced are actually given to livestock. Yeah, where do you think they get their B12? Where in the hell do you think these animals that you eat get their B12? When most of these animals are literally raised in overcrowded shit-filled sheds being fed GMO corn and GMO soy. Where do you think they're getting their B12? Yeah, through a supplement. So it makes much more sense for you just to take, a B12 supplement directly, or make sure you're consuming vegan foods that are fortified with B12, like a lot of cereals are fortified with B12. A lot of plant-based milks are fortified with B12. Nutritional yeast contains B12. Then, getting it secondhand through an animal that was given a B12 supplement, who was mutilated, tortured, forced to live in a shit-filled shed for 6 months, forced screaming into a slaughterhouse just so you can consume their flesh and increase your risk of getting heart disease, cancer, diabetes, causing swine flu pandemic, causing a bird flu pandemic, and destroying the planet in the process. Yeah, it just makes sense to be vegan. Makes no sense to not be vegan, really. Unless, you are an animal abuser. You love the fact that animals are being stabbed in their throats. That makes you happy. That makes you happy. That makes your day to know that animals are literally being stabbed in their throats so you can feast on their flesh all day, every day. Then maybe you won't go vegan because, you like the fact that animals are being abused and massacred for your food preferences. Or, maybe you want to be put in an early grave from having a heart attack or a stroke or getting colon cancer or breast cancer, So then, obviously you wouldn't want to go vegan for that reason either. Or maybe you love to see that the planet's being destroyed, that the forests are being cleared at a rate of like 1 acre per second. Oceans are being destroyed. 50% of the plastics in the oceans actually come from ghost fishing gear from the commercial fishing industry. So you want to continue to consume seafood because, you love to see the plastics in the oceans. You love seeing non-target marine animals getting caught up in fishing nets and drowning. You love all that shit. So obviously, you don't want to go vegan. But if you don't like to see animals suffering, if you don't want to be responsible for the fact that animals are having knives shoved in their throats at a rate of about, 200 million per day. 200 million animals per day are forced into slaughterhouses across the globe. You need to go vegan. You absolutely need to go vegan. And you should become an advocate for these animals too. And maybe, try doing a better job at convincing people to go vegan than I could ever do. Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, you're so annoying, your voice, everything about you. You just you come off like a bitch or whatever, like you're crazy, whatever. Veganism is not about me. It's about the victims. And you should understand what's happening to these animals is absolutely wrong. And it needs to stop. So you need to go vegan and you need to advocate for these animals. You need to advocate for these animals. If you think I'm doing an awful job, I'm not convincing anybody to go vegan, then you become a vegan activist and you show me how it's done. You show me how I should go about convincing people to stop paying people to stab animals in their throats. Like, what's the best way? What's the best way to convince someone to stop paying people to stab innocent beings in their throats? Oh, the animals are going to die anyway. Oh. So just imagine a murderer at his sentencing hearing, like, oh, please go easy on me, Your Honor. That person was going to die anyway eventually. Go easy on me, because they were going to die anyway. They might get cancer in like a year and die a slower, more painful death. So I actually did them a favor. I actually did them a favor. Like, Brian Kohberger, maybe, at his sentencing hearing, he can try to get the judge to go lightly on him because, those 4 college students were going to die anyway. They might have died in a much more horrific way. Being stabbed to death is pretty awful. But you don't care about that because you literally pay people to stab animals to death all day, every day for every single non-vegan product you consume. But obviously, you really don't think, stabbing someone is too bad of a thing to do because you literally pay people to do that to animals all day, every day, just so you can eat artery clogging carcinogenic crap and destroy the planet in the process. Oh my God, I'm like in the Twilight Zone. Shouldn't be this hard. Should not be this hard to convince people to do the right thing. Should not be this hard to convince people to do the sensible thing. The most logical thing is to go vegan. Yeah, who cares if I have crazy eyes? You literally pay people to slash animals across their throats all day. At least I don't pay people to kill innocent creatures. So it doesn't matter how crazy my eyes are. At least I'm not crazy enough to pay people to kill innocent creatures for my taste buds. And this person suddenly wants to advocate for plants. You don't want to advocate for these animals who have a soul, but you want to advocate for plants who clearly have no soul. No brain, no personality, no emotions. These animals have a brain, emotions, personalities, but you don't want to come to their defense. You want to come to the defense of plants, because obviously you must be able to relate more to a plant than to an animal. And then this person wants to bring up the abortion topic. But let me just say that I have never been pregnant. So wonderful to not have that that responsibility, that aggravation. Oh my God. Every time I go grocery shopping and I hear a baby crying, I'm like, thank God. Thank God. Thank God. I don't have to listen to that when I go home. Yeah. So wonderful to be childless. So wonderful. I enjoy it so much. Having the freedom and not having to worry, like, especially, like, why on earth would anybody want to have a kid when you literally have to give your baby over to somebody else while you go to fucking work? And, like, you really don't know what that person's doing with your child. And all the horror stories. Yeah, but... Well, back to your abortion question. Let's just say I've never been pregnant. I don't perform abortions. I don't pay people to perform abortions. I really have nothing to do with abortion. But if you're not vegan, you actually eat babies all day long. And if you consume dairy products, you literally have babies stolen off of their mothers and killed if they're boys, so you can have their baby food. And if you consume eggs, you have little babies ground up alive, so you can eat like artery clogging, carcinogenic crap. Yeah, you are not pro-life if you're not vegan. You're a hypocrite, to say the least. If you're not vegan, you are absolutely not pro-life. Yeah, so I can't take someone like you seriously when you want to talk about abortion and how it's wrong. And, more pregnancies end in miscarriages than in abortion. So are you mad at your God when a woman who really wants to have a baby has a miscarriage? Because if God is like all powerful, like when my sister was pregnant with twins and she really wanted to have her babies and she was really excited and then she lost both of them. Why are you like not mad at God for the fact that women all day, every day are literally having miscarriages? Oh, you don't care about those babies to be. You don't care about those babies. You just care about, when it comes to, a woman who, for whatever reason, there's a lot of reasons why a woman could end up getting pregnant and want to terminate that pregnancy. But suddenly in that case, you become enraged. You become enraged. But you don't become enraged at your God when a woman who wants to have a baby has a miscarriage. That doesn't bother you. You'll still go to church. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Yeah, there is no God. There is good. There is no God. There is good. There is no God. There is evil. Well, I actually do think there are devils, and they're like all around me, actually. Yeah, good and evil do exist. That's for certain. I'm against evil. That is why I'm vegan. I am against evil. That is why I'm vegan. Yeah, the most evil places on this planet are farms where they raise sentient creatures for their flesh and secretions, and slaughterhouses. Those are like the most evil places on this planet. Oh, and yeah, let's not forget research labs where they're torturing animals, to try to find like cures for cancer. Like people literally eat foods that cause cancer. Animals, they're eating animals and that leads to cancer. So then they torture and kill more animals trying to find a cure for cancer, when a lot of these cancers never would have happened in the first place if people weren't consuming animals, or the things that come out of an animal's infected udder, like, dairy products are carcinogenic. The casein in dairy is carcinogenic. Oh, and then let's not forget animal shelters, which are like actually death camps. You know, it seems like nowadays they're even, executing more of those shelter animals. They are like, not animal shelters. Let's call them what they are. They're fucking death camps. And a lot of these shelters aren't even giving these animals a fucking chance. Like I remember, for example, this was probably back, I don't know, in 2007. I remember somebody saying at my place of work, there's a little kitten out there and somebody called DAS, Domestic Animal Services. And I'm like, oh shit, I know what they do with those animals when they get them. So I went outside and I was going to try to catch the kitten. And then some bitch from DAS showed up and she tells me, don't you touch that kitten because if that kitten scratches you, you're going to have to get rabies shots. And right then and there, I should have said, fuck you. You obviously are a cat hater. You obviously are a cat hater. But I was naive at the time, and I had cats of my own, and I was thinking it would probably be best if she did catch the cat, take it back to the shelter. They can test the cat, make sure the cat doesn't have any infectious diseases or, because I don't want my cat getting, sick with anything. So I said, well, can I adopt the kitten once the kitten gets checked out? And she's like, oh, yeah, sure. Well, she catches the kitten. The kitten looked perfectly healthy. Didn't see anything, any eye discharge or anything. She catches the kitten, takes it to DAS. Every fucking day I call that place. Is the kitten ready for adoption? Is the kitten ready for adoption? No. Next day, call back. Is the kitten ready for adoption? No. Call back the next day. Well, on the 5th day I call and was told the kitten is no longer there. Well, if the kitten was never up for adoption, the kitten is obviously dead. Even though I was calling every single day saying I wanted to adopt that kitten. This is how demonic some I'm not, accusing all of these government-operated animal shelters, but at the time, I'm not saying this is still the case today, because this is like, 15, 16 years later. So hopefully, I think they've got new people overseeing this shelter. So it's not as bad as it used to be. But at this particular time, this fucking shelter was run by obviously people who didn't care about these animals. And proof is, I'm literally calling every day saying I want to adopt this kitten. And they're just saying, no, she's not ready for adoption yet. And then on the 5th day, they kill her and then tell me, oh, she's not here anymore. She's not here anymore. Well, because, I knew somebody who worked there. They found out that the kitten was euthanized, executed, actually. That's what it is when you kill an animal, when they've done nothing wrong and they're not terminally ill. They said that this kitten had an upper respiratory infection, which, yeah, maybe if they would have let me adopt her and take her to a vet, could have very easily been treated. But they didn't treat her. And it's funny, she wasn't sick at the time she was caught, because I saw the kitten and she looked perfectly healthy to me. Most likely when they caught her and put her in that transport truck to take her back to the animal shelter, she picked up something along the way. And then she paid for it with her life, with them executing her, instead of letting the person that was calling there every single day asking to adopt her, instead of giving me the chance to take her to a vet and get her the treatment she needed and could have easily helped get her healthy again. Like I said, it's just a sick world where it seems a lot of people roaming this earth are against animals. And it's disgusting. And yeah, some of these people do hate animals that are working these shelters. I mean, look at the one vet, that fucking one vet. What was her name? Kristen Lindsay, I think was the name. Kristen Lindsay, who shot her neighbor's cat with a bow and arrow. Veterinarian. Shot and killed her neighbor's cat with a bow and arrow. Literally had the arrow through the cat's dead body and was holding it up with a big smile on her demonic face, saying that she should win the Vet of the Year award. How sick. How fucking sick. And I think she's still practicing. So yeah, make sure you never, ever, ever take your cat to that vet. Because she's absolutely a cat hater. She literally kills cats and posts her pictures of herself with the dead cats raised up on a frickin' with an arrow through their bodies. A veterinarian. Yeah. No, I don't need treatment. I don't need I'm the one who has no issue dealing with reality. You're the one who has an issue dealing with reality, not me. Yeah, I can see people for what they are. Like, you think all veterinarians are wonderful people. Obviously, you know, I'm sure most of them are, but there are some veterinarians who do not like cats. Yeah, and they'll kill cats. So make sure you don't end up with a veterinarian who doesn't like cats, because they're not going to take proper care of them. Yeah, and like I said, somebody working at an animal shelter, you think all people working at animal shelters like animals? Yeah, you're wrong about that. Especially if it's a government-operated animal shelter. You're wrong about that. Not saying everybody that works at a government-operated animal shelter don't like that. Obviously, is not, you know. I mean, there are absolutely people who work at those shelters that love those animals and are just as brokenhearted as I am when those animals end up having to be executed because nobody came to adopt them. But there are freaking monsters working there that literally get off catching these animals and sending them off to their fucking deaths. No, and I think that's a bigger issue than abortion. Yeah, because these animals are all sentient. You know, when a fetus is aborted, those fetuses are not sentient. Those fetuses are not sentient. But those animals at those animal shelters, these animals in these slaughterhouses, in these factory farms, they are sentient. They are suffering. And they're suffering because of your choices. So yeah, don't claim to be pro-life if you're not vegan, because you are absolutely not pro-life if you're not vegan. Well, of course. I mean, victimizers obviously don't give a shit about their victims. Yeah, I never intended to victimize animals. So that's why when it was brought to my attention that animals were actually being victimized over my food preferences, I went vegan. Because I don't want to victimize anyone, especially animals, okay? So yeah, I do care, and I went vegan. You don't care because you're an animal victimizer. You literally victimize animals, and, you know, you don't care because you're an animal abuser. Obviously. I mean, you have to be. It makes no sense, like, for you to say, oh, I don't care that animals are being tortured and killed. But I'm against animal abuse. But I'm not an animal abuser. I'm against animal abuse. Yeah, if you were against animal abuse, clearly you would understand this is wrong, and you would care about the fact that these animals are being abused to produce animal products, and you'd be vegan. And you would go to your local animal shelter and adopt a homeless cat or dog before they're executed. No one cares. Speak for yourself. You can't speak for everybody. Of course, psychopaths don't care. They're not capable of caring. Their brain isn't developed properly. You know, so they're not capable of caring. So that's what these other people who are so, you know, understanding about, oh, they just aren't there yet, you know. Well, they can't, you know, some of these people literally are missing parts of their freaking brains that are responsible for, you know, feeling compassion and knowing right from wrong. So some of these people, you know, will never care. They're not capable. Their brains aren't developed properly. True story. Critters underground are killed every time a field is plowed to grow your vegetables. Well, more crops have to be produced to feed the animals that you eat. So yeah, whatever animals are being killed in crop production, multiply that by roughly 10 10 times more animals are being killed in crop production so that you can eat animals that are literally tortured, mutilated, forced to live in overcrowded shit-filled dungeons for months in such filth. They have to be given antibiotics before they're forced screaming into a slaughterhouse and having a knife deliberately shoved in their fucking necks. And then don't forget all the wild animals being killed. Like the wild American horses, the prairie dogs, the wolves, the cougars, the bears, the bobcats, the coyotes, because these animals either compete with livestock for grazing land or they are a threat to livestock. And don't forget the billion people starving to death right now because food they could eat is being used to fatten up your food. Yeah, so just stop with the fucking nonsense. There is absolutely no excuse at all for anybody to be consuming animal products. Unless you are an animal abuser, unless you want to see the world being destroyed, unless you want to end up with cancer or heart disease or kidney disease and being put in an early grave. Yeah, people who harm animals rarely stop there. True story. People, just watch Investigation Discovery. My God, please. I mean, if you think I'm lying, if you live in the United States, Investigation Discovery. Have you ever heard of that TV program, that TV channel, True Crime Stories? So if you think I'm literally here lying, just turn it on right now. I guarantee you probably right now there's a story of a killer who was a hunter. That killed his family, that killed his wife, that killed his neighbor. Just last night, 2 stories. I only watched it for, parts, not the whole 3 hours, but 3 different stories last night. At least 2 of them, because like I said, I didn't watch the whole thing all the way through, but 2 of them involved hunters that turned out to be the killers. And like I said, if you think I'm lying, just fucking turn on Investigation Discovery. Most of these stories are literally people who are hunters that are committing these murders. And yeah, let me pull it up. It's actually a woman in Australia, Catherine Knight. Her dream job was to work in a slaughterhouse. So, yeah, she ended up getting a job working at a slaughterhouse, butchering animals all day long. And what did she do? She turned into a serial killer. And she actually killed her boyfriend and skinned him and butchered him like she did to those animals and served his body up to his children. Fortunately, his children were out of town that day. But yeah. Not surprising, considering, she was so violent towards animals. People who are violent towards animals rarely stop there. And here's some more stories. It's a chicken farmer abducted little boys and took them into the chicken coop and molested them and used the same axe that he killed the chickens to kill the little boys. And here's another story. This just happened more recently. 2 slaughterhouse workers killed at least 2 people, butchered them like they butchered the pigs at the slaughterhouse they worked at. Cattle ranchers, husband and wife, turn serial killer. Pig farmer. Robert William Pickton. In 2007, convicted of murdering 6 women, but they actually believe the number was much, much higher than that. They think it was like around 67 women that this pig farmer killed. And some of those victims, actually, he ended up grinding up their body parts, mixing them with the pork, and that was sold at the grocery stores in this town where these murders happened. He literally ground up some of those victims and mixed that ground human meat with pig meat and packaged it up, and it was actually sold on store shelves in this town where this pig farmer lived. Yeah, and it's not really surprising. If somebody can do something so violent to an innocent creature that has never done anything wrong to that person, yeah, I can just imagine when somebody pisses that person off. And like I said, if you don't believe me, you know, just turn on Investigation Discovery, probably right at this moment. I mean, I should literally just go to my TV and turn it on for you and flip the camera around and show you. Right now, there's probably a story of a hunter killing his neighbor or his family member or somebody else who pisses him off or her off. They're not all male. Yeah, like I said, yeah, okay, whatever. That's not a common thing. Like, you know, like they say Bryan Kohberger supposedly is vegan. Well, you know, he's a hypocrite, obviously, because he actually did to those 4 victims of his what slaughterhouses or slaughterhouse workers do to those animals. He did the exact same thing to those people. So he's a hypocrite, to say the least, and he's a killer. I mean, I'm vegan because I don't think it's okay to kill somebody. And I include animals in my position that it's not okay to kill someone. Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you? No, you don't, if you're not vegan. You understand it's wrong to kill a human. Yeah, you get that. But for some reason, when it comes to your taste buds, you're like, oh, kill those animals. Yeah, shove knives in their throats because, hey, I'm hungry. I'm hungry. But I understand it's wrong to kill, but no, it's not wrong to kill a pig, though. I mean, I understand it's wrong to kill a puppy. Yeah, somebody shoving a knife in a puppy's throat. Yeah, I understand that would be a horrible, evil thing. But no, shoving a knife in a pig's throat, perfectly fine, because I love bacon, even though, you know, probably going to end up giving me cancer. Oh, bacon's so delicious. Kill that pig. Torture that pig. Yeah, and it's not just one bad day that these animals spend in a slaughterhouse. It's their whole brief existence. Like here, see these piglets here? This is what they do in the pig industry, in the pork industry. They literally cut the tails of these piglets off. They cut their tails off. So yeah, when vegans talk about animals being tortured, we're not lying. I mean, imagine having your fucking finger cut off and not being put under anesthesia, not be given any pain relievers, because they're not, you know, they just pick the little piglets right up and just cut the tail right off. And they're screaming the whole time. Just look at the undercover footage of it. I'd show it to you, but this live stream would be removed. They cut their tails off. They clip their teeth. They clip their ears. They castrate the males. All of this without putting them under anesthesia, without giving them any pain relievers. And then they're forced to live in an overcrowded, shit-filled dungeon. In such filth, they have to be given antibiotics to keep them from getting sick. No, there were not plenty of vegan murders. That's just ridiculous. Most of the murderers are people who, you know, get started killing animals. And like I said, Bryan Kohberger is a fucking hypocrite, because he literally did to those 4 college students what slaughterhouse workers do to animals. So if you understand that what Bryan Kohberger did was wrong, how do you think it's okay to do the same thing to an animal just because you get hungry? And you're literally doing this every few hours of every freaking day. But you think it's okay because, yeah, everybody else is doing it. Oh, and yeah, that's right. God put animals here for us to eat. Well, God did not put animals here for us to eat. Farmers literally. This is a screenshot. This is a screenshot of an this is an actual instructional video put out by the pork industry demonstrating the semen collection process. This is standard practice throughout the entire animal agriculture industry. Not just happening in the pork industry. It's also happening in the dairy industry, in the beef industry, in the poultry industry. Yeah, look up Sucking Turkey Semen. It's an episode of Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe. You can find it on YouTube. Just do a search for Sucking Turkey Semen. And you will pull up the episode of Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe, where Mike Rowe goes to a turkey farm, and the turkey farmer demonstrates how he collects semen from the male turkeys using a straw. One end on his freaking mouth, the other end on the turkey's private part. Yeah. You should give that a look. And if you continue to consume animal products, I would have to say, what the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you, Mike Rowe? If you're still consuming animal products, after you literally witnessed it firsthand what they're doing to these animals. Like, Mike Rowe, why are you not vegan? Maybe he is. I don't know. Somebody let me know. But yeah, this is a screenshot of an instructional video put out by the pork industry demonstrating how they collect semen from these male pigs. This is a human. This is an animal. She's literally touching his penis, masturbating him until he ejaculates. Sexual relations between a human and an animal is, in fact, bestiality. So look at what your Bible says about bestiality and what the punishment should be. God did not put animals here for us to eat. Farmers literally sexually abuse animals to force them to reproduce so that you can eat their babies. So she's literally forcing semen out of this pig's penis. And he doesn't give consent to this. He cannot say yes or no. So that's sexual assault. If somebody does not give you consent to touching their private parts, that's sexual assault. And you can say, but he can't give consent. That's an animal. He can't give consent. Well, there are some humans that can't give consent, like, people in a coma. So are you saying it's okay? Because according to your logic, you must be saying it's okay to fondle someone in a coma because they can't give consent. They're in a coma. And, they don't even know what's happening because they're unconscious. So big fucking deal. Like, yeah, that's your logic, not mine. My logic is like, keep your fucking hands off the genitals of everyone, even animals, okay? And even if an animal did give you consent, I would say, don't do it. Like, fucking, that's sick shit. It's still bestiality. It's still bestiality. No, I think you're jealous. You're jealous. You're the one who's jealous of me for doing the right thing and going vegan. You're jealous of vegans because we're doing the right thing. And deep down inside, this is wrong. This is wrong, but this is the first step in the production of all animal products. Even dairy products. Yeah, they're doing this. They literally do the same thing to a bull. Or they will shove an electro-ejaculator in that bull's anus and force that bull to ejaculate that way. Yeah. And a lot of these farmers are men shoving these dildos in the anuses of these animals. So yeah, if you're a homophobe, oh my God, which you shouldn't be, but yeah, I know, unfortunately, there are a lot of homophobes, but you literally support this. You literally support humans masturbating animals. And in a lot of cases, it's men doing the masturbation of these animals. The men shoving dildos into the anuses of these male animals. But you're literally funding it. But then, you're against gay people, even though at least those gay people are in consensual relationships. And you're literally doing this so you can eat babies. So yeah, don't say you are pro-life because you literally eat babies of other species. You're not pro-life. You're literally causing death all day long. Brutal, violent deaths. These animals literally forced screaming into a slaughterhouse, a knife shoved in their throat, like, you know, what Brian Kohberger did to his 4 victims. That's what's happening to these animals that you eat all day long. Having knives shoved in their throats all day, every day for every single non-vegan product you eat. And these are baby animals. Like most of these animals slaughtered are babies. Pigs are just 6 months old when they are slaughtered. They can live over 10 years. Chickens are just 6 weeks old when they are slaughtered. They can live over 7 years. Even cattle raised for beef are only about 12 to 22 months old when they are slaughtered. They can live over 20 years in this person. Oh, but it tastes amazing. Oh, because yeah, it's awesome to victimize someone over sensory pleasure. Yeah. Stay away from little kids, please. Stay away from women or men that you find attractive, please. Because, you know, if you think it's okay to victimize someone over sensory pleasure, you know, that's what rapists are doing. They're victimizing people over sexual pleasure. And you're doing the same thing with animals, victimizing animals over your taste buds. And yeah, these animals are being sexually abused because this is mainly done because this is the most efficient way of getting these animals to reproduce. But some of these animals can't even mate if they wanted to. Like turkeys and chickens are forced to grow so large that physically they cannot mate. So yeah, even for your chicken, your turkey, they masturbate roosters, they masturbate male turkeys to collect their semen, to force that semen into the female turkey, to force that semen into the hen, to fertilize their eggs so that you can have turkey for Thanksgiving, so that you can have a Chick-fil-A sandwich, or you can even have eggs. Because yeah, you know, they have to, again, collect the semen from the rooster by masturbating him until he ejaculates, to force the semen into the hen, to fertilize her eggs so that those eggs either hatch into the broiler chickens that people eat, or so those eggs hatch into the egg-laying hens that lay the eggs on store shelves. So this, all of these animal products, the first step is bestiality. The first step is sexually assault an animal, to collect that animal's semen, to force that semen into a female animal's vagina, to force her to reproduce. Yeah, if you were to force semen into a woman's vagina without her consent, I seriously doubt you would call that artificial insemination. But that's what they call this. They call this artificial insemination. And people are like acting like, oh, this is so normal. Oh, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, forcing semen into an unconsenting woman's vagina, you would understand that's rape. That's a crime. That's sexual assault. And then, yeah, you would understand if her baby was stolen from her, that would be a crime of kidnapping. And if that baby was killed, that would be a crime of murder. And if her baby was killed so people could feast on the flesh of that baby, you'd be like, what? Am I like living in a world filled with fucking zombies? Yeah. So, yeah, if you took these animals off of these flesh farms, out of these slaughterhouses, and put humans in their place and did the exact same things to the humans that are being done to these animals, they would in fact be crimes of rape, kidnapping, and theft, and murder. And that's what you're doing to these animals all day, every day, for every single non-vegan product you consume. Even dairy products, even eggs, even fish. Yeah, look it up. Artificial insemination of fish. Look it up. Artificial insemination of bees. Look it up. They're doing the same thing even to bees. They literally figured out how to sexually assault a bee to get his semen. They literally squeeze on their abdomen, and that forces them to ejaculate. And they literally restrain the queen bee. Restrain her, knock her out with CO2, and then have these little metal tools that they open her up with, force the semen into this queen bee to force her to reproduce. And you think it's funny. It's not funny. And if you're Christian, oh my God. Oh, just look at what your Bible says about bestiality and what the punishment should be. Ooh, you're going to be in some trouble. You're going to be in some serious trouble with your God if you continue to consume animal products. Yeah, maybe you didn't know this yesterday. Okay, but now you do. Now you know it. Now you know, because I just explained it to you. So if you, from this point forward, continue to consume animal products, you are now knowingly participating in bestiality. You are now knowingly participating in the sexual abuse of animals. Yeah, these animals aren't just being physically abused, knife shoved in their fucking throats. They're not being just psychologically abused, forced to live in overcrowded, shit-filled dungeons for months. They're also being sexually abused to get them to reproduce. And again, just look up that so-called artificial insemination process if you think I'm lying. Like, this is a screenshot of an instructional video put out by the pork industry demonstrating the semen collection process for that so-called artificial insemination of the female pig. They literally masturbate this pig until he ejaculates so they can steal his semen and force it into the vagina of the female pig to impregnate her for the sinister reason of stealing her babies and fattening those babies up to slaughter them for their flesh. I agree with you, but I cannot live without meat. Yes, you absolutely cannot, or you absolutely can live without meat. There are some people who have never eaten meat their entire life. Seba Johnson never ate meat. Seba Johnson is an Olympic ski racer who was the first female black ski racer in Olympic history. She has been vegan since birth. Megan Duhamel, another Olympic athlete, won Olympic gold in 2018, 10 years into being vegan. And she won an Olympic gold medal as a vegan. And she was the only female pair skater to land a quad throw in the Olympics. I think she was like the only one to even attempt it. But she actually landed a quad throw. And she's vegan, and 10 years into being vegan, she won an Olympic gold medal. And here is another Olympic athlete. Kendrick Ferris. Kendrick Ferris is vegan, and he is a true vegan because he's vegan for the animals. He is vegan for the animals. Kendrick Ferris is the only man from the United States to have made the Rio Olympics in weightlifting. Weightlifting. So Kendrick Ferris is proof that you can even become an Olympic weightlifter as a vegan. So no, you don't need meat. The more meat, dairy, and egg products you consume, the more risk you have of kidney disease, heart disease, cancer, diabetes. And let me show you. Let me show you, because I know you probably... This is from the Mayo Clinic. This is from the Mayo Clinic. Researchers asked nearly 70,000 volunteers about their diets and tracked them over time. They found lower cancer rates among people who didn't eat meat at all. In fact, vegans, those who don't eat any animal products, including fish, dairy, or eggs, appear to have the lowest rates of cancer of any diet. Like, seriously, it makes no sense to not be vegan. Literally, reduce your... Heart disease is the leading cause of death. And look what is stated on the American Heart Association's webpage. Whether you're considering eating less meat or giving it up entirely, the benefits are clear. Less risk of disease and improved health and well-being. Specifically, less meat decreases the risk of heart disease, stroke, obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, and many cancers. So yeah, in other words, the more meat you eat, the more risk you have of all of these very common and very deadly diseases. The less meat you eat, the less risk you have. So why eat any meat at all if you don't have to? Why should any animal be forced against their will into a slaughterhouse, having a knife shoved into their throat just for your food preferences, just because you don't want to go vegan? And why wouldn't you want to go vegan? If it's literally the best thing you can do for your own health, if it's literally the best thing you can do to help save the planet. Researchers at Oxford University did an extensive study of over 40,000 farms and concluded that animal agriculture is so environmentally destructive, going vegan is the best way to save the planet, and that if the world went vegan, land totaling the size of Africa could be freed up. So this is from Oxford University. We face 3 epic defining environmental problems: climate, extinction, and pestilence. Our climate is changing in ways that will have serious consequences for humans, and it may even profoundly affect the ability of the planet to support life all around us. Other species are disappearing at a rate between several hundred and several thousand times the normal background rate of extinction. The COVID virus, which has wreaked social and economic havoc, is merely the latest model of a blossoming production line of newly emerging infectious diseases, many of which have the potential to be far worse. At the heart of these problems lies an ancient habit: eating animals. This habit is the most significant driver of species extinction and of newly emerging infectious diseases, and one of the most important drivers of climate change. This is a habit we can no longer afford to indulge. Animal agriculture is destroying the planet, causing the 6th mass extinction. And even Albert Einstein knew that. From Albert Einstein, nothing will benefit health and increase the chances for survival of life on Earth as the evolution to a vegetarian diet. And no, eggs and dairy products do not come from vegetation. So he's talking about a strict vegetarian diet, a plant-based diet. Yeah. Oh, he died? Really? Really? Because, yeah, if he was alive right now, he would be what? I don't know. I'd have to look at the year of birth, but he'd probably be like, I don't know, 135 years old or some shit like that. Yeah, of course he's dead. Of course he's dead. Animals eat animals. Well, most land animals are actually herbivores. Elephants, rhinos, giraffes, zebras, panda bears, koala bears. You know, most animals actually are herbivores. But yeah, tigers, lions, wolves, they actually have to eat other animals. They actually have to eat other animals to survive. And you are supposed to be a civilized human being. So why on earth do you want to base your behavior off of a wild animal when you're supposed to be a civilized human being? And you do not get the urge to kill animals when you get hungry, like a wolf does, or like a tiger does. You don't get the urge to kill animals when you get hungry. I mean, if you do, yeah, go see a doctor about that, because that is not normal. That is not normal. And I'm sure you don't even find roadkill appetizing. Because, you know, humans are more like vultures in the way we eat. You know, because you like to eat the animal already dead and rotting. But I bet you don't even find roadkill appetizing. Because you're not a true meat eater. I mean, you'd be better off eating roadkill. I mean, at least the roadkill's not like pumped with hormones and antibiotics and was forced to live in an overcrowded shit-filled shed for months. And then this person, how many animals and insects die to provide you with organic, vegan fruits, vegetables? Well, whatever animals might be killed, multiply that by about 10 because it takes 10 times more crops to be produced to feed the animals that you eat. Yeah, but see, there's a company called 1 Degree, and they source all of their ingredients from veganic farmers. So I get my oats, my lentils, my bread, my cereal from 1 Degree. And the local organic farm where I get most of my produce from actually use pepper spray as a non-lethal form of pest control. And I do grow a lot of my, like papayas, mangoes, because I live in Florida. So yeah, I grow all kinds of my own food. So don't use any kind of pest control. I use compost to fertilize, and don't kill any animals in the process of, digging the holes to plant the plants. Very careful. But any animals that might be killed, like it's accidental. Like if I accidentally, I'm like digging a hole to plant a plant and I accidentally kill a worm, what sense does that make to like, oh my God, I accidentally killed a worm. Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, well, I guess now I should just go pay people to like stab animals in their throats because, there's no difference. There's no difference, Making an animal live in a shit-filled dungeon for 6 months and then forcing them screaming into a slaughterhouse and then shoving a knife in their throat. Totally the same thing as accidentally killing a worm when you're digging a hole to plant a plant. Yeah, there's a difference between accidentally killing someone and intentionally killing someone. The difference is murder. Murder. I mean, just imagine thinking somebody that like accidentally hit a human today with their car because the person ran right out in front of their car and they hit and killed them. Imagine thinking that person is no different than Brian Kohberger. Like seriously, that's like your mentality. Like, oh, that person's no different than, a murderer who intentionally kills someone. Oh my God, they accidentally killed that person. You might as well go intentionally kill someone. I mean, that's your logic, not mine. And yeah, so not only are you having more animals killed in crop production because it takes like 10 times more crops to be produced to feed the animals that you eat, you're also having all these animals being intentionally killed for your food preferences. Even male calves born to those dairy cows are intentionally killed because they're useless to the dairy farmers. Even the dairy cows themselves sent to slaughter when they can no longer produce enough milk to be profitable. Then you're having all the wild animals killed, like the wild American horses, the beavers, the prairie dogs, the wolves, the cougars, the bears, bobcats, coyotes, all massacred intentionally because those animals either compete with livestock for grazing land or because those animals are a threat to livestock. You are literally causing the 6th mass extinction with your eating habits. Not me. Not me. And I'm not intentionally harming anybody. No, I'm not full of misinformation. I'm literally stating facts. I have no reason to lie. I'm not here trying to sell you anything. Not here trying to sell you a thing. The dairy farmers, the flesh farmers are the ones who are lying and spreading misinformation. My freaking God. The dairy farmers have everybody convinced that dairy cows automatically produce milk. No, they don't. They produce milk because their mothers, their babies are stolen. And then when, a vegan, states a fact, they try to cover it up. And then they lie more and say, those dairy cows, they are horrible mothers. Those dairy cows are horrible mothers. That's why we take those little babies from those dairy cows. It's for the best interest of these babies. And then look at the babies. Look how these monsters keep these babies in tiny little pens, away from their mothers. This is a newborn baby that should be with their mother, not in a tiny little pen, out there in the elements in a fucking blizzard, freezing to death. And again, if this is a boy, this boy will be dead within weeks. These farmers are the ones lying. saying that they're caring for these calves. How the fuck are they caring for these calves when they all end up in a fucking slaughterhouse, dismembered in 100 pieces as babies? And even the dairy cows end up dead when they cannot produce enough milk to make those dairy farmers a fucking profit. They are sent to slaughter. Then these liars, who are truly the ones spreading the lies and the misinformation, say that they treat their dairy cows like family. Yeah, I doubt they literally send their family members to fucking a slaughterhouse when those family members can no longer work and make money. They are the ones lying. They are the ones spreading misinformation. And then to top it off, they'll say, oh, see, it's not natural to be vegan because vegans have to take supplements, as they literally give their dairy cows calcium supplements, B12 injections. That is control. That is to control over population. What are you talking about? Control over population. What are you talking about? Farmers literally sexually abuse animals to force them to reproduce. If the farmers would literally just leave their hands off the penises of those male animals and keep from shoving semen into the vaginas of those unconsenting female animals, there would be no animals to worry about overpopulating the planet. Wild animals are literally being annihilated over livestock. True story. Animal agriculture is causing the 6th mass extinction. So say whatever you want to say about vegans. Vegans are not the ones causing the 6th mass extinction. Animal agriculture is the leading cause of species extinction. Then comes hunting and fishing. And it should all be banned because it is all animal abuse. How is putting a hook through a fish's face not animal abuse? I mean, you would understand if you put a hook through a dog's face and drag the dog through a lake until the dog dies. That would be animal abuse. But for some reason, putting a hook through a fish's face and pulling the fish out onto land, out of its habitat, that is an animal abuse. It should all be a crime because it's all animal abuse. Violence. 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 Yeah, I think the devil would be more like on the same side as violence. God would be on the side of like compassion and nonviolence. But for some reason, all of these Christians want to like use the Bible to justify doing violent things to innocent beings. Oh, bears do awful things. Bears do awful things. So I want to be like a bear because, like, I'm not a civilized human. I just want to, like, act like a wild animal because, you know, bears, you know, do some vicious things. So why shouldn't I? Like, oh my God, please, people. Do you have any idea how many animals die to protect vegetables? Yeah, I go over that over and over and over and over and over and over that. Yeah. I do whatever I can to minimize the harm that I cause. I get most products that I can, you know, from either veganic farmers or farmers that use non-lethal methods of pest control. And I do grow quite a bit of my own food. And don't use any pesticides, don't kill any animals in the process. I try to do what I can to minimize the harm I cause. You are literally maximizing the harm you cause. Literally paying people to intentionally mutilate and force innocent creatures screaming into a slaughterhouse to shove knives in their throats as babies. Because, yeah, these animals, in case you don't know, are all babies. Pigs are just 6 months old when they are slaughtered. They can live over 10 years. Chickens are just 6 weeks old when they are slaughtered. They can live over 7 years. Even cattle raised for beef are only 12 to 22 months old when they're slaughtered. They can live over 20 years. For you to consume dairy products, you're literally having male calves killed so you can consume their baby food. In the egg industry, you're literally having male chicks ground up alive so you can consume eggs. Because at the hatcheries where all egg-laying hens come from, they cannot determine the sex of the chicks until they hatch. Upon hatching, they sort the males and they kill them because the males are useless to the egg industry. They don't lay eggs, and these are not the same breed used for meat. They do not grow quick enough or big enough to be profitable for meat. I just like the taste of meat. Yeah, well, that taste comes from herbs and spices. Herbs and spices are vegan. The slaughtered gore is not so tasty, really. That's why, like KFC has to douse that rotting chicken carcass with 11 herbs and spices. Herbs and spices are vegan. So that delicious flavor you experience when you're like eating KFC chicken, it's not the rotting chicken carcass that's so tasty. It's actually the secret recipe, which consists of 11 herbs and spices. Herbs and spices are vegan. So my food is just as delicious as your food. But nobody has to die for it. Nobody has to have a knife shoved into their throat. And my food's actually much healthier. My food is actually much more environmentally sustainable. So it just makes sense to be vegan. And it's so easy. It's so easy. All you have to do, the very least you can do, the very, very least you can do right now, so fucking simple, because you're already here on TikTok. You're already here on TikTok. So simple. One thing you should do right now, Google or do a search here on TikTok for vegan recipes. 2 words, vegan recipes. Put it in the search box right here on TikTok, and you will come across endless vegan recipes. Just scroll through. If something looks good, click on it. See who posted it. Give that person a follow. Start following some of these people who are posting vegan recipes, and you will see how easy it is to be vegan, how you can veganize just about anything and everything. There's recipes on how to veganize fried chicken. You can veganize fried chicken. You can veganize bacon. You can veganize milk. You can veganize cheese. You can veganize ice cream. Just about anything and everything can be veganized. So why not you eat the vegan chicken nuggets? Why have an animal stabbed in their throat when you can easily just choose plant-based chicken nuggets? And the plant-based chicken nuggets actually taste better. I wouldn't say the chicken nuggets, any processed food is really going to be healthy for you, but it's less bad for you than an actual chicken nugget made from an animal carcass, from an animal that literally marinated in a shit-filled shed for 6 weeks in such filth they had to be given antibiotics. I mean, the plant-based chicken nuggets taste better. They're not going to be as unhealthy for you, and they're going to be more environmentally sustainable. So it just makes sense. But yeah, you should stick to as close to a whole foods plant-based diet as possible. That is absolutely the best diet for human health. A whole foods plant-based diet filled with fruits, vegetables, beans, grains, legumes, nuts, seeds. That is the best diet. Slaughterhouses do not have to exist. That's a fact. Intentionally killing animals, that is not necessary. That is a fact. It is not necessary for us to kill an animal to get the nutrients we need. Yeah, the Iowa dairy farmer engages in bestiality and sexual abuse of animals. I mean, he literally, on one of his TikToks, there was a dairy cow laying right there. He goes right up to this dairy cow and shoves this rod, which I would think it was the rod with the semen to impregnate her. I don't think he was doing any, to test her or anything. I think he was literally shoving semen into this dairy cow. And she's laying there, and he's acting like, oh, see, look at how she's just laying there and let me shove semen into her. Because the dairy cow obviously doesn't have the mental capacity to understand what he's actually doing to her. So if you took a human that doesn't have the mental capacity to understand what's being done to her, and you just, she's laying there and you just go up and shove semen into her, you think that's okay? Like, really? When you're literally doing this to impregnate her, to steal her baby, and then send her baby to a slaughterhouse if that baby's a boy, to then hook her up to a milking machine to suck her baby's food out of her body to sell it for profit? I mean, if you took those animals out of those farms, off of those dairy farms, out of the slaughterhouses, put humans in their place, did the exact same things to the humans that are being done to those animals, you would understand these are acts of rape, kidnapping, theft, and murder. It's disgusting. Disgusting. Literally, the Iowa dairy farmers shoving semen into a cow's vagina, who did not give consent for that to take place, but thinks it's okay because, look, she's allowing me to do it, because she doesn't understand that you're literally forcibly impregnating her for the sinister purpose of stealing her baby from her, killing that baby if that baby is a boy, and then you're going to send her to a slaughterhouse when she can no longer produce enough milk to make you a profit. Disgusting. And then he's literally giving his dairy cows calcium supplements. Yeah, oh, that's so natural. That's so natural. Yeah, it's so natural to forcibly impregnate someone, steal their baby. You're not a fucking baby. You're not a freaking cow. It is not natural to be consuming dairy products. If it was so natural for you as a human to be consuming dairy products, you would literally be sucking the milk from that cow's teats. Literally. But no, they literally have to be hooked up to a milking machine, have a machine sucking the milk out of their body, and bottle it up, pasteurize it, bottle it up to sell to you. And then you have all kinds of digestive problems because, oh, you're lactose intolerant. No, it's because you're not a fucking baby cow. Such nonsense, such nonsense. Defend the Iowa dairy farmer who literally sexually assaults animals, just like every other farmer. Like I said, standard practice. They forcibly impregnate those dairy cows. They forcibly impregnate the pigs. They forcibly impregnate all of these animals to get them to reproduce. They get the semen from the male animals. I wonder if there is a video from the Iowa dairy farmer. I wonder if he does it himself or if he hires a farm hand to masturbate a bull, or he buys it from somebody, the semen that he forcibly impregnates those dairy cows with. I wonder if he you can tag me if he actually has a video posted of him collecting the semen from the bulls. I'd be interested. If he actually does it himself, or does he hire a farm hand to get that semen from those bulls to forcibly impregnate those dairy cows for the sinister purpose of stealing their babies from them, killing all the boys, to steal the baby food that belongs to these baby animals, to sell it to you for profit. These are babies. They should be with their mothers. These are babies. They literally have their tails cut, their teeth clipped, their ears clipped, forced to live in such filth they have to be given antibiotics. This all needs to be banned. It's a crime. And it's literally destroying the planet. Animal agriculture is the leading cause of deforestation, species extinction, water pollution, water depletion, ocean dead zones, ocean plastics, fisheries depletion, pandemics, world hunger, and climate change. And I'm not even exaggerating. Animal agriculture is causing the 6th mass extinction, and it needs to be banned right now. Needs to be banned. Needs to be banned. Hunting needs to be banned. Fishing needs to be banned. It all needs to be banned. All you have to do to determine if something is right or wrong is determine if you want the same thing done to you. Do you want someone shoving semen into your vagina, stealing your babies, killing your babies, selling their flesh for profit, hooking you up to a milking machine, sucking your baby's food from your body while your baby's being hacked to pieces inside of a slaughterhouse? This is what's happening to these animals for you to consume their flesh and secretions. And it's nothing to joke about. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. No, I'm not going to chill. Because if this was humans that were being ground up alive, baby humans being dropped into a macerator and ground up alive, yeah, you would understand. Yeah, it is the worst atrocity in history. If human babies were being stolen off their mothers and kept in tiny little crates out in a fucking blizzard, out in a flood, like, oh yeah, let's not forget what just happened a few days ago and how people are trying to, oh, those calves, they were all rescued. Well, yeah, if they were rescued, they would be at an animal sanctuary right now. Are they? Are they? I'm curious. Is there anybody with an update? Tag me in it. Tag me in it. Because I'm going to be signing off here soon. Tag me if there's an update. Because I do believe they did get these calves, but there's older cows, they said, that are still on this property in the floodwaters, or at least as of like 2 days ago. I think they did say that the calves, somehow they managed to rescue hundreds and hundreds of them. But yeah, are they all going to be put back in these pens? Or did they actually go to an animal sanctuary? Because if they didn't go to an animal sanctuary, they were not actually rescued. They were not actually rescued. The only way you truly rescue these animals on these farms is if you get them over to an animal sanctuary so they can no longer be neglected and abused. Because, yeah, any of these calves that are males, they're going to end up being slaughtered within weeks. But even these female calves, you know, what's going to happen to them is they're going to be sexually violated. When they come of age, they are going to be sexually violated, having semen forced into them to impregnate them, to get them to start lactating. Then roughly once a year after that, they're going to be forcibly re-impregnated to keep them lactating. And every baby that these calves, when they get older, give birth to, are going to be stolen from them. The boys all slaughtered, and the females slaughtered as well when they can no longer produce enough milk to be profitable, which is going to happen probably around 5 years of age when they can live over 20 years. So stop supporting animal abuse. Go vegan. In the search box right here on TikTok, put a search in for vegan recipes. Start giving some of these people a follow who post vegan and vegan-friendly recipes. Visit happycow.net, put in your city. You can find vegan and vegan-friendly recipes in any city. Grocery stores are full of vegan options. All fruits, vegetables, beans, grains, legumes, nuts, seeds are vegan. Most pasta is vegan. Most cereal is vegan. All kinds of plant-based burgers on the market, plant-based chicken products, plant-based seafood, plant-based milk, plant-based cheeses, plant-based ice cream. No reason to not be vegan. Get over yourself. No one deserves to be executed over your food preferences, but you're literally giving animals a death sentence for every single non-vegan product you consume.